Hello and welcome back to another V Rising video. Today we're going to be looking at dev update number 28, which came out on December 19th, and it's going to be talking about the 1.1 update for V Rising. This dev update is a little more on the statistics side of things, so we're going to dive in, but this is going to be a little more of a simpler video. We're not going to go in as depth as some of the other videos out there. So yeah, we'll start off Greeting Vampires. We're going to be talking about blood and the RPG aspects of V Rising. From the earliest days of V Rising's development, we want to have your own unique vision of a vampire, what it looks like with regards to the wardrobe, and also just in general how the player character plays. So we've got here a drawing. I think this is of Henry Blackbrook here. So they're going to be talking a little bit about how stacking right now, you can kind of just stack things with like movement speed, and that will adjust your overall play build. So they're trying to go out, get out of that like old tactic thing that they used to do, focus a little more on making the game feel a little more natural. So they are going to be capping all ability statistics. So you can see here, there's going to be a hard cap on the percent that you can have at the far right end. So things like physical crit and physical crit power along with weapon skill efficiency, you can only max it out here. There's also going to be dark red bars to show how close you are to reaching the cap, which is I think this one right here, along with bright red bars. So this is something that's going to be very obviously used a lot, especially in endgame. Once we get into 1.1 and we're interacting with this overall system. So we can see here there's a tribute bonus and then also a bonus over cap 5%. There's going to be soft caps and hard caps. And soft caps are the first line of defense to keep stats from being problematic. Hard caps are the absolute upper limit of what you can reach and are just another safeguard. So yeah, it sounds like you just they want to basically neutralize some of the characters out. Not super sure how I feel about that, but I never really felt like it was too OP, like movement speed and things. But I understand from a boss perspective, sometimes if you just have really good movement speed, you can get around a lot of mechanics. So I think that's what they're trying to bypass and just make it so that the game overall isn't so gear dependent and maybe a little more skill dependent, which means we'll see how that will interact with 1.1. So here now they talked a little bit about how they are going to plan. In the last update they talked about the Fusion Forge, which was a forge that allows you to create purples, I think, from what I remember. Just it's a weapon forge essentially. Now blood now gives stats, which is really interesting. As we can see here, there's a mutant spitter, and now you can put them into prison cells and drink their blood, which is really cool. That's a new thing that they're adding. And so yeah, that's something that's going to be interesting to see. We've got a list here of the general themes of how blood will work in 1.1. Worker blood, increased resource yield, faster resource mining, higher mount speed. So yeah, a lot of these bloods in the past kind of just weren't used for certain situations. You kind of just stick to things like Brute and Rogue, simply because they were so good in their own respects, whereas the other bloods just weren't as utilized as often. And so now that these bloods have been buffed and have a little more utilization, I think it'll be really interesting to see how we interact with some of these bloods. I'm really interested by the new effects of mutant blood. The fact that it's now summoner's blood allows you to summon minute damage, recovery rate, and also allows you to spawn mutant rats when you cast your ultimate. For me, that is massive. I usually play summoning type classes, or like most often when I'm running playthroughs, I'm very often using summoning classes. So I think I'm going to be trying this mutant class and seeing how that works. We have here an effect here that shows that you can now infuse bloods and have, for example, warrior and rogue blood running at the same time because of infusions, and so it's going to be interesting to see how you can stack different blood types. If I hear as well a little bonus effect, infused blood area. So yeah, we'll see how that works out. We've got here some more statistics, how they're showing how the past armor is switching. We've got here more weapon skill efficiency, um, increased weapon cooldown recovery rate, reveal attacks deal 30% damage. So somewhat similar, but a little bit different overall. One thing they're focusing on as well is they're trying to focus on adding elixirs. You can only have one elixir at a time now, which is a little unfortunate, but you get to choose the type of elixir you want to use for your specific build. So this is one that focuses on spell, leech, and cooldown recovery rate. So interesting how that will take into effect. Finally, we have weapons here. We can see here that there's differences in the overall structure of the weapons. We've got the Great Sword Apocalypse legendary weapon here. In the past, it would give you bonus maximum health and attack speed. Now it's going to be giving you spell critical strike power and weapon skill cooldown recovery rate. So it sounds like they're just really moving away from the whole constantly moving quick thing to more buffing your character overall. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Apparently there's also a third, less statistic related addition that will mix up the gameplay even more, but we're saving that surprise for a little later, and that's this guy here. So I'm really curious as to how, if this, I assume this is going to be a V-Blood. He has the same design as the previous devlog, I think, with the necromancer looking guy. Looks like someone from the church, or not the church, the shadow place up in the north end of the map. So we'll see how we interact with this guy in the long run. I really like the design, and I'm very interested to see what will happen. We've also got, they're going to be focusing on passives. Now you can see your passives in the skill trees here. Excuse me, I've got a cold. And so you can see what you currently have active with regards to passives, which is really cool. We also see a passive tree here. You can choose what you like, and yeah, just go from there. A lot of these are really big changes in the RPG. I think if there, one thing I think I've thought about recently is it'd be really cool if there was an option to play previous versions of the game, just because they have been implementing in such major changes that, like, for example, my favorite expansion for play was the Secrets of Gloomrod expansion. I don't know what 1.1 is going to be called, but I'd be curious as to if there was an option to try out different expansions, similar to like World of Warcraft does with their World of Warcraft Classic system. But obviously that wasn't implemented until multiple expansions came to be. So I think we're going to play around with this. I'm curious to see how it impacts overall the game. And yeah, that's going to be most of it for this dev blog, just talking about the RPG and the aesthetic of the game, and very much stats based. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Tune in to more V Rising content in the future.